Welcome to Vantage Points, a program designed to explore issues and topics of local interest. And now, here's the host of Vantage Points, Calvin Carter.
Welcome once again to our program. With me today is Drew Crandall, president of the Rockville Downtown Association. Drew, welcome back to the program.
Hi, Calvin. It's great to be back. Hello, everyone.
It's great to have you on the program, Drew. This is the first time on the program as president of the Rockville Downtown Association. For listeners who are unaware of the organization, what is the Rockville Downtown Association?
The RDA was formed about 16 years ago to become a catalyst for community development and economic development in Rockville, specifically downtown Rockville. It's actually a member of the Main Street program, which is a nationwide effort to rejuvenate and sustain vibrant local downtown areas. What happened in the 1950s and 60s of many of these beautiful Main Street areas across America started to erode with the development of suburban sprawl and suburban shopping centers and malls. And this has been a very sincere and good effort through the years to re-engineer and reinvent downtown areas so they can remain vibrant as well.
I've had interviews in other areas. One I'm thinking of in particular is State College, Pennsylvania, and the town of Bellefonte has a Main Street program. And in speaking to the Main Street manager there, she's told me about a variety of activities that go on in Bellefonte that are associated with their downtown association. Things like, like a street fair, right in the middle of town. Does Rockville Downtown Association do that sort of thing?
Actually, years ago we did, but what happened over the years is there's another group that gradually formed in Rockville called the Rockville Community Alliance. And they're another nonprofit, all-volunteer organization in Rockville. But we've sort of divided our responsibilities through the years, where RDA is more focused on building up the business community and economic vitality, and the Rockville Community Alliance is more focused on big community events that help to bring people together and give people a sense of presence and community and build neighborhood relationships. So the Rockville Community Alliance collaborates more closely than RDA does on things like July in the Sky, National Night Out, which is in early August, Rockville Fest, which is in September, and Winterfest, which is held in December. So RCA collaborates more closely with the Vernon Parks and Rec Department to make those bigger events come alive. We play a supportive role, but not as public a role in those events.
So how does RDA work to create a good atmosphere for business development in Rockville?
We seek to bring the business community in Rockville together and be a voice for the business community. So as the town of Vernon and other groups who have interests in a vibrant Rockville work together, we bring sort of a clear voice on the business community's perspective on things. So it's a balanced approach to making Rockville what we want it to be.
Let's talk about some particulars then. What kind of efforts is the RDA involved in to promote the startups of businesses in Rockville?
Sure. We are in the process of organizing a series of seminars at Rockville Public Library throughout the next year. Right now we're in the planning stage on what topics would be most relevant for the most number of business people and who might be dynamic, knowledgeable speakers to facilitate those seminars. We also formed earlier this year a quarterly executive roundtable where we bring key employers in Rockville together every 3 months for a think tank. For example, the first think tank was held in January here at my business at Lafayette Square at Keep in Touch. Then we had a second one in April at the Rockville Public Library in their conference room. And just more recently, we had our July roundtable in the community room at Loom City Lofts on East Main Street. So our next roundtable will be held in October. And this is a very safe, pleasant environment where key employers in town can brainstorm about the future of Rockville and how we can help our businesses to grow and prosper in Rockville, and roll up our sleeves and talk about the good and the bad and the ugly in a safe place, and talk about what are the things that governments can do to help to facilitate this process, and what are the obstacles that these business leaders face in trying to grow their businesses. How can we help to get over those obstacles and make good things happen? We also have a board of directors that we're in the process of rebuilding. We meet on a bi-monthly basis, so our next board meeting will be in September. So we're taking nominations for people to serve on our board. We also have networking events and tours. We just had a tour of the New England Motorcycle Museum recently on West Main Street. And what has been happening at the former Hockenham Mill is nothing short of spectacular. Ken Kaplan and his team have been working so diligently for years to bring that historic property back to life. It's about 150,000 square foot facility, and he is almost done with the part of the mill that faces West Main Street. It looks so much better than it did. And the dream and actually it's becoming reality, it's not just a dream, is to transform that complex into the largest motorcycle museum in all of New England and probably the Northeast.
Hmm. I'm glad you mentioned the Hockenham Mill because a few years ago I did an interview with a gentleman who's in charge of development in Rockville with the city government. And at the time we were talking about the what became the Loom City Lofts. So there were two mills that were being worked on, and that's incredible. It's such a great idea to maintain the buildings that were there already and reuse them.
That's right. They're treasures that it's a shame if we end up allowing them to erode to the point where the only thing you can do is tear them down. You just lose a piece of history. One of the illustrations, Calvin, that I've been using recently is and it really started, in my opinion, with Loom City Lofts. When they went through that huge process to transform the Roosevelt Mill into this complex. And by the way, all 68 residential units are full. They have some commercial space on the first floor they're still trying to fill, but the entire complex filled within about 4 months. They were expecting it would take a year to fill, and it took 4 months.
Wow.
But anyway, here's my illustration is imagine if you lived somewhere where when people died, they died wherever their heart stopped and nobody took them away. And so over time, you have all these corpses lying around your town, and eventually those corpses rot and they turn into skeletons. And how would you feel if you got up every day, even on a beautiful summer sunny day, and you walked into the center of town and all you saw all over the place on the sidewalks everywhere were skeletons? I don't know about you, but I would find that extremely discouraging and depressing. And here's my illustration, that what happened when all the mills and industries moved out of Rockville and similar kinds of textile mill cities across the Northeast, they left these skeletons in the form of these old mills. And it plays a psychological role in depressing the community because people see these old dilapidated mills just sitting there rotting day in and day out, and it plays games with people's psychology. And by seeing Loom City Lofts really sort of resurrect from the dead, and to see Hockenham Mill sort of resurrect from the dead, I can tell you here, being boots on the ground in Rockville, ever since Loom City Lofts opened we had the ribbon cutting last fall. The whole attitude of Rockville has taken a bunch of notches positively. The mindset is changing as people are seeing these skeletons come back to life. It's really having an emotional, psychological impact on Rockville for good.
There was a plan for one of the mills during its redevelopment to have loft apartments, and the price point for the loft apartments was supposed to encourage college students to come move into the area. Is that what happened at Loom City Loft?
I don't think it's really college students. Part of that is due to the proximity to a major college campus. It's still a little bit far away from Yukon for people to commute to Yukon. And Yukon has really beefed up its apartment capacity in stores with the development of Stores Center, which is another Main Street program, another success story. But my impression in talking to the developer of Loom City Lofts is that most of the renters who have moved in are millennials. They're local working people, but the millennials have a different mindset about real estate than the baby boomers did. Many boomers, including myself, we moved. Our parents bought suburban homes, and we were raised in the suburbs, and then we went to college, some of us, and then we started building our lives, and we also bought homes in the suburbs. But the millennials aren't impressed with owning real estate the way the boomers are. They saw the housing crash in the late 2000s, and buying a house and staying in a house isn't necessarily the financial investment it used to be, and the job security isn't there, where millennials have a different mindset about their long-term life plan, where they're looking at many more job changes throughout their career, which may necessitate them moving from one place to another. So it really makes sense that millennials would fill Loom City Lofts. Also, the millennials are not impressed with having to drive a car everywhere the way many boomers have been. So they want more urban environments where they don't have to get in a car to go to the store or to go to experience a concert or an athletic event. So we're seeing this across the country, not just in Rockville. We're seeing it in Hartford and New Haven and across the country. Millennials not buying homes, but instead living in nice apartment complexes in more urban environments. It just fits their mindset and their lifestyle preferences much more closely.
As downtowns improve and grow, a lot of jobs are created. Some of those jobs are in the service industry, and a lot of service industry jobs are not very well paying. Is there a move to create affordable housing in Rockville?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the Loom City Lofts is plugged into that through the state of Connecticut, various agencies there. A good number of the apartments in Loom City Lofts turned out to be affordable housing units versus completely fair market apartments. So the state of Connecticut has made affordable housing a priority in recent years, and it really makes a lot of sense because Connecticut, compared to other states across the country, we're in one of the most expensive places to live. And so if we want our young people to stay in the state and build their lives and their careers here, but they can't afford to live here, then those two objectives contradict each other. So it makes a whole lot of sense to make housing more affordable for millennials so they can stay here, especially as the baby boomer generation ages and heads into retirement.
You've been listening to part one of a two-part interview with Drew Crandall, president of the Rockville Downtown Association. Please join me again next week at this time for the conclusion to this interview. If you are aware of a need, interest, or concern of the Vernon-Hartford area, please contact me at ccarter@familyradio.org. That's ccarter@familyradio.org. To learn more about Family Radio, a beacon of truth and hope to the people of this world and our many wonderful resources, please go to www.familyradio.org or call us toll-free 1-800-543-1495.
This has been Vantage Points, a discussion of topics of local interest. The opinions expressed on Vantage Points do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Family Stations Incorporated. Join us again next week for another edition of Vantage Points.